This is the best of the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Handful of things to talk about here. Jason Witten retiring, broadcast booth. Who would win a Royal Rumble between a bunch of characters like Jason Bourne and John Wick, non-superhero division?
Wow.
But like, Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible, non-superhero division. Who would win a Royal Rumble? And also, should we do the Family Feud with my father live on air? See how that goes? That could be a disaster.
Oof.
It could be funny. I don't know. We could just try it, though, because we want to play the Family Feud here. We could just do it live in studio. We could do it. We could just call him up and just ask him the questions quickly. My father's not efficient. He is not quick. So that could be funny. If you're just joining us, we were playing the Family Feud in the first hour because who was it that challenged us to Family Feud?
It was Golick and Wingo. They have challenged our show to the Family Feud. And they're dead serious about it. They think they can get this done. They think we can have both shows on an episode of Celebrity Family Feud. I'm all in on this idea. I think it's fun.
So we had a bunch of arguments during the local hour about, because we can only be 5 of us. There can only be 5 of us. And then would it be a team of ringers with Pablo and Mina and Bomani? But Stugotz was saying that that's not a team. Well, Stugotz thought that would be a great team. The shipping container thought it would be too thoughtful and not enough in common with the 100 people surveyed. And so it would be whom? Because Greg Cody's going to get hurt to be left off of this list. But if
Right.
we were to play Family Feud, we were arguing about that. But how do you want to do the next incarnation on air before I get to serious societal point? Sports story in the Washington Post.
Well, I think we have an issue with our show. We have 7 people, and I guess 8 if you want to include Greg Cody. And, with the Family Feud, you can only have 5 on your team. So we have to cut out 3 people. And what we're trying to do is figure out which of the 8 of us, of the 8, which would be the 5 best to form our team. And so that's what we're trying to do.
So,
I think we should just keep doing the speed rounds.
We did interviews with Roy, Chris Cody, Allison, and Stugotz. And so far, the rankings are Roy was the best, Allison was second best, Chris Cody was second best, Allison was third best, and Stugotz comes in dead last.
There's an asterisk on that because Allison, had she had the same opportunities as Chris, she gave the same answer, she would have gotten more points than Chris.
All right.
Okay, yes, Chris, the old 3 zeros Cody, as we call him, because he got 3 zeros in a round of 5 after bragging that he was great at the speed round.
And still had more points than me.
That's right. He did still by a lot, right. I'd like to do this with my father, but first, a serious societal point from an important story in the Washington Post done by Juliet McClure, who has done a lot of good work for a long time. And the Washington cheerleaders went on a week-long trip to Costa Rica, and the whole thing felt a little too escorty. Your team representatives who are scantily clad and sexy. And I do believe that this is maybe the place where we get the attention of sports, because I know a lot of people listening right now in a predominantly male audience having given a lot of consideration to how silly the whole cheerleading thing is. The idea that you have scantily clad women on the sideline paid very little to dance erotically, sensually, and it's accent on your sports, and it's normal accent on your sports, and then the roots of it go all the way down to where you find girls expecting to be in roles where they are lesser than the boys, or they are to be there as an accent for the boys. Like, I do think in our lifetime, the idea of cheerleader is going to change, because what happened on this trip, and I don't know that it's necessarily even uncommon. What happened on this trip is that they were asked to be around topless. Like, they were also doing photo shoots and calendar shoots,
Correct.
But it was body paint, topless, and then some of them were just asked, or they were told to go to a night with sponsors at a nightclub. And it's all men who were sitting around the photo shoot. And like women were crying. The cheerleaders were crying because they felt like they were sort of trapped and entrapped, like that they couldn't, that there was when women are crying because they don't want to do something and they have to do something to please men or the corporate environment, that's sexual harassment.
Yes. They were required, as you said, to attend the nightclub as, I'm just reading from the story here, as escorts for some of the team's male sponsors. The cheerleaders did say there was no sex involved, but they did feel like they were being pimped out.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, there was no sex involved, but the whole thing felt a little too escorty to be what professional football is representing. And then you've got that team, that logo, behaving in the way that privilege behaves. And those cheerleaders are paid very little. And I wonder what's going to happen with that. I think our audience right now is listening to me and being, oh, here he is again, social justice warrior. Now in 2018, we can't even look at women. We can't even have cheerleaders. I'm just telling you that this ring girl cheerleader thing that we've thrown into the meat cage of the barbarians, like this thing that we've had for a long time. Right. This is what happens when you feel privileged and entitled to that pretty thing being around you, dressed very, very, not wearing very much. Oh, wait, she's a cheerleader, therefore she must be here to serve corporate male sponsors.
Right. And you mentioned they're not paid a lot for this particular trip, which was taken to Costa Rica with the sponsors. They weren't paid at all. They weren't paid at all for the trip. They were just asked to go and expected to do what they were doing.
They're giving a trip, like they're giving a vacation. And look, that's part of the perks. You get around the money, you get around the power, you get around the sports, you get around the fame. This is an access to, you can become, the next Instagram model. You could become the next thing that gets discovered. Like, I'm not saying it's not an access strip to some of the things that all people want in climbing professionally. I'm just saying that we haven't given a lot of thought to this entire enterprise that has simply existed for 50 years on the sidelines. And just as one example, when you think cheerleaders, you think Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. When you think owners, you think something like Jerry Jones. You pay the women very little, you dress them in very little, and then you make the owner a powerhouse with a, cup of Johnny Walker Blue in his hand, who nobody can say no to. Who nobody can say no to, because if you say no, you lose your job. If you displease him, you lose your job. And, or Daniel Snyder, or whatever, the power brokers in these sports tend to be old white men. And that's how you get into these positions where it's the most normal thing in the world for you to just tell your sponsors, all of the male, go out to the photo shoot, just sit around ogling the women. And they'll go to the nightclub with you later, whether they want to or not, even if they're crying because they don't want to go.
The reaction from the audience is so disappointing.
Oh, you know what that's going to be, though. You know that. I know that going in. Like that, this is one of those days.
But why am I surprised,
This is one of those days where I turn off the computer because I really wonder sometimes. Men claim to love women, but sometimes they hate them. It's weird.
I am surprised, though, by the reaction because it's overwhelming. Like, come on, Dan, and let's enough. Like, can't we enjoy anything anymore? And it's just, I'm surprised by that reaction in 2018. I really am, based on everything that's happened in the last couple of years.
You can't give men lechery and then try and take it away. You can't make it permissible and then try and take it away. Go ahead and try and do that. We tried. You see how Weinstein was fighting at the beginning? He was fighting. Oh, fight this. No one's gonna. You can't give lechery away and then try and take it back without the lecher saying they're entitled to the lechery.
Don Le Batard.
Did you love the Joker's Wild? 61% of the audience said no.
Oh, you damn young people, soaring with so much ignorance.
Stugotz.
You don't even know what we're talking about. The Joker's Wild is the truth, man. Stay woke.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The Washington football team's cheerleader story that involves confiscated passports. The cheerleaders didn't feel like they could move around Costa Rica. It involved, shots from a turkey baster, twerking, erotic. It sounded like exotic, something close to escort behavior that was being demanded of them without the sex.
Right. They took an annual cruise, I guess, with the sponsors. So that's where the men were, doing shots of liquor into the cheerleaders' mouths with turkey basters, and below the deck, men handed out cash prizes in twerking contests.
Sounds like a great deal of fun if the women are willing. That last part is important. Confiscate their passports. They're crying because they don't want to go to the nightclub. That sounds like only one group of people is having fun. And there's where you get your public relations calamity. And my apologies. Juliet McCord works for the New York Times. I am old and getting fooled by aggregate sites. My glasses fog up because of the coffee I'm drinking.
Right.
So forgive me. A bunch of excuses, but I got the newspaper wrong. I suppose at some point during the show we will play Family Feud and we will talk about the NBA playoffs. But I want to get back to this Royal Rumble. Mike Ryan, how many wrestlers are there in a Royal Rumble?
Oh, man, I thought you'd never ask. Okay, traditionally, there's a 30-man or 30-woman Royal Rumble with a new entrant every 2 minutes. However, last week, as you know, was the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. That one had 50 entrants in it, and they came in every 90 seconds.
So what are the people that we would put in our John Wick, 007, Jason Bourne category of impossible white men? Or you could also throw, of course, if you care to, I don't know, Wesley Snipes, Passenger 57. Like, where are we doing? The Rock is going to be in here somewhere doing something, is he not?
Yeah, is it which Rock is it? San Andreas Rock?
Well, that was my question. Does each actor only get one character?
Yeah. It's not the actors. It's not Sylvester Stallone and
so it's
Chuck Norris.
So it's a character. So
right.
Dominic Toretto.
But I can only choose one.
So Toretto can be in there, and he can be in there as something else from Triple X.
That's right. You can have multiple Sylvester Stallones. You can't have multiple Rockies, or maybe you can. Maybe you can
so
have
Rambo and Rocky can be in the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I think so.
And Tango?
Yes, I think all of them can be.
I feel like The Rock should be disqualified for previous experience.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. Nice work by you, Roy. You're right. He's not allowed
No, because
in here.
Hobbs has never been a wrestler before.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to separate the art from the artist.
Sure.
You know what? You're right as well. So now what do? Who's in this? Let's find out who is in the Royal Rumble and who do you have winning. You would agree Jason Bourne is in here, yes?
Yes,
Yeah,
he's in there.
You would agree John Wick is in here,
Of
yes?
course.
John Wick might be the winner.
John Wick ain't losing.
He ain't losing?
He ain't losing.
He never loses.
He ain't losing. And I know Ethan Hunt is in there too, but I'm sorry, Ethan, not this time.
Yeah.
None of the Expendables make it, right? Unless Stallone does it as someone else, as one of his other characters.
I don't know if the expendable characters themselves on merit should be in the 30-person action hero.
Chuck Norris, yes?
Yeah, but which character? You need a character.
Point,
if you can't name one, then guess
It
what?
can't be Texas Ranger Chuck Norris, which is
Walker
the only
Texas Ranger.
Texas Ranger's
It
good.
can be Walker
Yeah.
Texas
Walker
Ranger.
Texas
Yes.
Ranger.
Yeah.
It's not going to be total, Jim.
Jackie Chan, Rush Hour. Chief Inspector Lee. Oof.
Are we doing just movies, or can I go Jack Bauer from TV?
Ooh, now, because we did open Walker, Texas Ranger, Jack Bauer's got to be in there. Jack
Okay.
Bauer's in there.
I mean, you
Bauer's
put
definitely in
together
there.
whatever your list is. I don't care what the list is, but you guys are already declaring John Wick the winner. So now you need to get me people who are going to basically, we need the Rockets of this thing, right? Somebody who's going to challenge the Warriors. Basically, the only reason the Warriors haven't destroyed the league is because the Rockets give us reasons to doubt, and we know LeBron's team is not strong enough. But the Warriors are John Wick in this scenario. So who am I bringing in here who's bringing some doubt to the ring? Who's bringing some doubt to the ring? And by the way, John Wick can't be using his weapons. John Wick can't be using guns.
That's the thing. You
that's
can't
a
rely on
problem.
gadgetry.
Wait, but then
If it's gadgetry,
what kind of Royal Rumble is this gonna be?
MacGyver. I don't know.
Transporters.
Transporters.
You need somebody
no.
that fights with their fists?
We need to establish weapons or no weapons. We do. I
Yeah,
mean,
because that's
no
John Wick's
that
special.
takes John Wick out of it, right?
It can't be weapons.
No gadgetry.
Okay, then no weapons, then no John Wick.
Wait a second.
That's it.
How do you win this Royal Rumble? Do you throw your person over the top rope and both their feet have to land on the floor, or do you have to kill them?
No, it's a Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble.
You have
okay.
to win.
This isn't Celebrity Deathmatch.
Yes, you have to be the one standing at the end.
Okay, well, that changes things because you keep in mind, like, I probably want somebody a little bit bigger that's harder to throw over the top rope. And remember, both feet have to land. If they're agile, they can do the trick where maybe only 1 foot touches and they can hold on to the top
But
rope.
all these people are like 5'4" in real life. Tom Cruise
Liam
is
Neeson's a giant.
Liam Neeson.
Taken.
I know. What? Thank you, Mike.
Well, I wasn't going Rob Roy.
What is it? The Commuter? Didn't he make it?
The Commuter.
Didn't he
Yeah.
take it on a train?
Does Neo get in this?
Oh, wow.
Oh, Martin Riggs.
Well, the one from the Matrix.
But is that close enough? Well, no, this is not a regular guy,
No,
though.
but-
This is a superhero. He's flying in the movie.
Is he? But I thought, but I really thought, what do you imagine John Wick would do if what he sees walking to the ring is Neo? That has to be very disorienting to John Wick.
Murtaugh's in this.
From the A-Team?
Yeah,
No,
Murtaugh.
No, from Lethal Weapon.
That's fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, Riggs.
What was the name? I think I got it wrong, but I just went fossilized ancient on you. What was the name of the head of the A-Team?
I can't get to it quick enough.
Because, no, I think it's who I thought Mike was just referencing. A reference that I did not get. Wasn't the head of the A-Team named Murdoch?
Paul Blart.
Wait, what?
There was a Murdoch.
Wasn't that Mr. T?
No, that was B.A. Baracus.
Oh, yeah, Baracus. So Murdoch was...
No, but it can't be Murdoch. That's not even who you were talking about. Nobody from the A-Team. Answer this question for me. Was network television so repressed that the A-Team, the television show, never actually showed a death? That never actually, that people that they always showed people emerging from crashes.
It was Hannibal.
Hannibal, thank you. Yes, thank you. I am really discussing right now, during the NHL and NBA playoffs, a 1980s television show.
What about Ernest Borgnine in Airwolf?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. MacGyver.
I already said that, Stugotz.
Oh.
Because when we went gadgets, that it's got to be MacGyver.
Bond's out too, then, right? No gadgets. Bond's out.
This really is
James
difficult.
Bond. Why would you have him in there without toys?
Oh, yeah, man, James Bond.
James Bond without toys is fairly useless. Put that on the poll.
No, he can
He's
fight.
fairly
He can fight
useless.
hand-to-hand
He's
combat.
fairly
No, it
useless.
might.
I've seen movies where he steps out of the shower and he has to suppress an attacker.
Yeah.
That's fine, but the attacker's not John Wick. It's not.
Or Rocky.
It's not Jason.
They
Bourne.
are fellow
Rocky,
spies.
right? But wait a minute. Is Rambo fairly useless without the weaponry? Is Rambo just a guy wearing a headband? Because I've never seen. Have you seen Rambo fight?
No, but I feel like Rambo could kill anyone with his bare hands. Yeah,
Can he?
can never be killed.
But have
yeah.
you seen
And
him
he eats things that would make a billy goat puke.
How about William Wallace?
Oh, that's a good one.
Braveheart.
Yeah.
Riggs versus Wallace, a dream match.
Wallace would be last out, right?
Mike, I don't understand what you're doing.
What about Dutch from Predator?
Oh, yeah.
Just your normal guy.
What about Dutch from Karate Kid?
What about Danny Glover, but from Predator 2? Two Danny Glovers in this Royal Rumble now.
There shouldn't be any Danny Mike, the only reason you put the initial Danny Glover in this Royal Rumble is so that you could do your incredibly cruddy, limited, fake Danny Glover.
No, Riggs.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
You're so right. It was
Danny
the only reason.
Glover, why the hell is he in here? If you're planning on attending a wedding soon,
Suck an egg.
Don Le Batard.
All my wife does is she watches Game Show Network. When I'm not home, she only watches Game Show Network. And quietly, I don't like this. It's the unsexiest thing she does. I should probably have a conversation with her.
Stugotz.
She already started, huh? Like Abby, it started like a year or two ago, man. I feel bad for you.
Does a chill go down your spine whenever you turn on the TV and the most recent channel is Game Show Network?
hold on, that's unsexy? The enjoying of game shows is
Just
not
when your
sexy?
life is resorted to that, the Game Show Network. Yeah. And no, I don't get mad. I'm the one who
Wait a
left
minute.
it there.
How are you guys?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, Dan, we'll get back to you in about 7 minutes. They gave me a book to read here. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. You can check out Rory McIlroy.
I'm never going to get that right.
And Phil Mickelson, lefty, on the course right now at the Wells Fargo Championship on ESPN+. A little Tiger action later today, too. Here's your SportsCenter update. The New York Times reports that Washington Redskins cheerleaders were required to post topless for a photo shoot and be at a nightclub event as non-sexual escorts to some of the team's male sponsors during a 2013 trip to Costa Rica. Igor, I have no idea. Kokoskov He became the first NBA coach born and raised outside of North America as he signed on with the Phoenix Suns. Think their fan base is excited today? Coach Koskakov. Seriously. What a terrible hire. I mean, it's just bad. All right, Dan, we'll get back to you in about 5 minutes. And finally, according to the Korea Times, a cleaner found 7 gold bars worth $330,000 US while emptying a garbage bin at Incheon International Airport. Did I say that right? The bars, each weighing 2.2 pounds, were wrapped in newspapers, and police suspect the original owner threw them away as he risked being caught. Currently, there is no proof that the gold is connected to criminal activity. It was originally thought that the cleaner would be able to make a substantial claim on the goods. However, the airport has said the cleaner won't because working as airport staff and is a part of the cleaner's job to find lost things.
No!
Part of his job. South Korea operates a finder's keeper's law on goods that are recovered when there is no known owner. According to its Lost Article Act, if an owner doesn't claim the found property within 6 months, the finder would take ownership. However, this doesn't apply to employees on company property. If the finder had not been an airport employee, they would have been eligible to claim between 5 to 20% of the gold's total price, a maximum of $65,000 under the law. That's incredible. Sounds like someone found my gold. For the pros out there, next week is OSHA's Safety Stand Down. And we've teamed up with Werner to take a time out to learn about ladder and fall protection safety. Remember, falls are preventable. Go to WernerStanddown.com to learn more. That's WernerStanddown.com. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. I'm exhausted.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please, at Batard Show. Finders, keepers?
Losers, weepers.
Okay, fine. Put that on the poll as well. Losers, weepers? Question mark. So Adam Schefter is reporting. Please help me understand this because I don't think that these things can both be so, but maybe they are. Adam Schefter is reporting that there are far more teams unwilling to pay Des Bryant the league minimum salary than there are teams that would consider signing Des Bryant. Also, the Ravens have offered, reportedly, 3 years, $21 million to Des Bryant, and he's turned it down. What the bleep happened to Des Bryant? Is it just foot problems? Is it what this guy's career, okay, went from being a total monster at Oklahoma State, but being one of the great, quote unquote, red flag character risks in the league. Jeff Ireland got in trouble for asking him, as the general manager of the Dolphins, if his mother was a prostitute. That's where his career began. I think he got Des Bryant in trouble, or I'm sorry, he got Deion Sanders in trouble, or Deion Sanders got him in trouble, and there was some issues with his eligibility. And then the Cowboys had a babysitter for him. They had to hire a babysitter just because his home life, right. There were a lot of calls to his home and, not arrests, but police being called to his home. Des Bryant has been a problem in this league for not that long a time. And he used to be a number one receiver. And he used to be Tony Romo's number one receiver. And then Dak Prescott took over. And Des Bryant stopped mattering the moment Dak Prescott took over.
Yeah, and he's only 29 years old. I mean, it's not like he's old.
Oh, he's not done, but
I wouldn't say only 29 in that league. He's a big body. Like, they tend to break down the big body receivers.
But Mike, this was fast. The last 3 years have been dreadful for Des Bryant.
But where are we? He has not been good. That's not up for dispute. He is not a number one receiver anymore. His production has fallen off in a way that all he is a name the Cowboys were perfectly happy to get rid of, and that Adam Schefter now says more teams than not would not give him the minimum to catch footballs for them.
And according to Pro Football Focus, they ranked him as an average receiver.
Right. I mean, that's the combination, right, of the off-field stuff and the on-field production isn't what it used to be. If the on-field production was still good, there'd be plenty of teams lining up to sign Des Bryant, but that's a bad combination. Trouble off the field and not very good on the field?
Well, but someone help me understand how often. I know that the lifespans in this sport the career lifespans are about 3 years. But Des Bryant, from 2012 and to 2014, was a monster receiver.
Yes.
And that was 25, 26 years old. And while Mike's right, that's a big body, and you get close to 30, that game's going to ravage you. I'm still baffled by how quickly this happened, where Des Bryant went from elite to average when Larry Fitzgerald and people like him do it for decade plus with the big bodies when they take care of themselves.
Mike, this drop-off, though, happened 3 years ago. So it's when he was 26. That's when he started to decline. I mean, that's still early. I get what you're saying, and you're right, but that's early.
No, look, Romo found him, period.
Yes.
Romo would find him.
And Dak hasn't.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Boldin, these are guys that never really count on separation to get open. They're precise route runners, and they're just incredible ball winners. Des Bryant, the more years pass, the less separation he gets.
Well, this is what's going to happen with Des Bryant. Can you be someone who goes from number one to reliable, crafty possession guy? Because, yeah, Anquan Boldin didn't for a decade. But how many guys like that can Des Bryant do that?
I don't think I ever saw Anquan Boldin open.
Anquan, what are you saying? No, let me explain something.
Just throw it up to him?
Mike, let me explain something. Not throw it up to him.
No, just throw it in his direction, and he will fight a guy for it.
Let me explain to you something right now, and this is something you don't need to understand. You need to understand it better, and I think you need to apologize right now to Anquan and his entire family. Anquan's always open. Like, what do you mean you don't understand? I don't understand when he's covered.
We're saying the exact opposite thing, but we mean the exact same thing.
What I am telling you is that if I put an Anquan Boldin on a field out of hospice, trailing a dialysis machine, he's going to have 7 catches for 60 yards. He's always open. And the only reason he doesn't have any more is because his quarterback's inaccurate.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
Broken orbital bone in his face in one of the worst collisions I've ever seen in an end zone. He was open.
Yeah. Wide open.
Caught the ball, too. Face exploded. Face exploded on the field. It's the closest we've ever seen to a face exploding on the field.
If you're the Giants, don't you sign Dez? That'd be nice, man.
Dez and Odell. You think Gettleman wants into the Dez game, do you?
Depends how he carries his pads.
That's right. That's all that matters.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing. Keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Dan Le Batard. Stugotz. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Bob Ryan is exceptional on all subjects, basketball chief among them, but he could talk about anything. We'll have him analyze his tweets in a second, his own tweets. But first, let's do the stat of the day. Quick as you can, please, the shortest version so we can get to Bob Ryan.
Start of the day, start of the day, it is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is the start of the day.
The Red Sox in 2017 had 0 grand slams all season. In April, they had 6.
Baseball.
Bob Ryan used to be of the Boston Globe. He's been covering sports for a long time. Let us begin with basketball. Bob, thank you for making time for us. Can you explain to me, please, what specifically, as a basketball savant, what is Brad Stevens doing?
Well, before we do that, I have to commend Poppy for holding that note as long as Bobby Darin held that final note in Mac the Knife.
Yes, he will appreciate that compliment and that reference.
Okay, now, what Brad Stevens is doing is being himself. He was a kind of a Mozart prodigy, 36 years old when he was given this job with the Celtics. He is able to adjust and take what he's got and make the most of it. I don't think there is a thing called a Brad Stevens style. I think he's very reminiscent of Coach K in that he does not ever try to force square pegs into round holes or anything like that. He takes what he's got and he goes from there. But I just think the biggest thing he has is his personal demeanor. I think that the key to coaching, we all know this, is being able to sell your product and have to an audience and make them buy into it. And he can do that. And he seems to be able to make technical adjustments. They believe in what he's telling them. He's a complete package, and ultimately he never has them think that he thinks he's the show. He's in charge, but he's not the show, and that's a difficult thing to project. And he's done that. I mean, that's my analysis.
Well, help me understand this, right? Because I'm not willing to make leaps, even as Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward come back from injury. I'm not willing to make leaps that say, well, this team was good enough to win 50-plus games without those two guys or get deep into the playoff without those two guys. Therefore, they're going to be this much better when those guys come back. But what are you expecting from Boston in terms of improvement from here?
I started out the playoffs resolutely saying this, that they are totally playing with house money, starting with the Milwaukee series, which I did not expect them to win. I thought they could win, and they did. Okay, same thing with Philly. I did not expect them to win, but they can win, and they're off to a wonderful start. But I think that was a good convergence of circumstance. They were in a rhythm, and Philadelphia was coming off 6 days, and I think it mattered. Brett Brown says it mattered, and I trust Brett Brown's judgment. He's also an excellent coach. I still think they're playing with house money. Well, here's one thing that's happened, though, Dan, and that is that Terry Rozier has emerged. Terry Rozier has taken advantage of his opportunity with Irving down to be the man, to be the starting point guard, and he is really playing high-level basketball. Now, when he was drafted, no one talked about offense. The only thing they sold the public, Danny Ainge sold the media and the public, this guy's got speed. Boy, he's going to be able to get up and guard somebody right away, and he's got speed. We love his speed. Nobody said anything about his offense in the NBA, and he's obviously done that gym work that we don't see. He's dedicated himself. He's made himself into an offensive threat, as you saw Sunday with 7 threes.
Bob, you're an old school guy. I'd be interested. I've been getting on Joel Embiid lately because the guy, listen, he's a great player. We all know that, but he hasn't accomplished that much yet. They've won one playoff round, and he likes to talk a lot. And I say, hey, when you win a championship, you can talk and act this way. How do you feel about Embiid?
I think you're totally correct in that regard, but it doesn't take away from the skill level that he has and the game that he has and the fact that he put up 31 and 13, that you don't just dismiss that casually. I like him a lot. No, he talks a little bit, but he's colorful, he's funny. I don't think he's harmful. I think he's harmless in that regard. And he's a product of the modern world. He's this kid from Cameroon that's taken to a Twitter like he invented it. He loves it. He's a refreshingly bubbling personality. I'm not going to try to suppress him in that regard. I don't think he hurts anything. Correct if I'm wrong. This isn't like some guys that say things that really get in the way, but I don't think he does.
This LeBron team, the worst in 10 years?
Very possibly. Here's the thing about them that's fascinating, and to me is this. If you're Ty Lue, you've got one guy you can count on every night. One. No other team at this level has to succumb to that. They got one guy. They have guys who are capable of having big nights on certain occasions. Well, J.R. Smith, Exhibit A, had one the other day. Tristan Thompson's had two. Okay. We know that Korver can have one. But he never knows any night to night, if he's going to get anything from anybody else and who it might be. None of the other contenders are in that situation, which brings us back to the greatest player in the world, and without him, they're not anywhere near it. They're not home. They're home. They're home watching. So, but they don't know who's going to help them, who help him any night. So they're vulnerable. They're not going to win a championship, but I still think they have a good chance of beating Toronto because I still want to see Toronto prove it to me.
Does Brady hate Belichick?
Hate, no. I think he's tired of. I think he's saying, I'm guessing now, and we're trying to read all this from afar, but I'm guessing he's saying, why is he on my case ever? What, don't I get total, a permanent, lifetime, eternal slack if there's some little thing I might not done to his satisfaction on a practice day or in the game? And I think I'm exempt from that. Got away? I think he's right. I think he should be exempt from that. Now, we've wondered all along. We know that the Belichick MO is to get rid of guys when they start to get value ineffective rather than value effective, cost effective, and to get rid of them before their shelf life expires, blah, blah, blah. And I always thought there would be one exception. I always thought there would be one exception of exempt from criticism, exempt from all that, and it would be Tom Brady. Now I'm starting to wonder if there are absolutely positively never any exceptions.
Can you help us understand, though, what happened here? Because Brady now is more public. He's okay using his voice. He's allowing, Deepak Chopra's kid into his life to do a documentary. He wants to fight for this doctor who's not a doctor who seems to bother the Patriots. What do you make of this late in career evolution? I make a 41-year-old guy who's not a 25-year-old guy and who's evolving in life and who's had a completely... I'm sure if you told the 20-year-old Tom Brady where he would be at 41, which includes marrying the most famous model in the world who's far richer than he is, and having Brazilian in-laws, and then having a guy like Alex Guerrero, I think he was very conventional up to that point, up to a certain point, but then a guy like Alex Guerrero comes into his life and he buys into Alex Guerrero and he thinks he credits Alex Guerrero with giving him this ability to have this great longevity, and he's buying into the dietary lifestyle, and it's all working for him, and it is unconventional, and it is somehow distasteful and displeasing to Belichick, and we saw what happened last year when he banned Alex Guerrero. That was clearly a shot across the bow at Tom Brady, and he's not going to get over this. I don't think he's ever going to get over this, so this. If you will, friction, this fraying of, is going to be there, but they'll try to work together on a professional basis. But, when it's all over, I don't know if there are going to be any Christmas cards. Yes or no, Tom Brady and Giselle got Garoppolo traded? Indirectly. In other words, I think all they had to do was... Yes or no? Yes, because of the... Time now for Bob Ryan's tweets! Yeah! With Kraft,
explaining to do.
Let's explain that.
Time to explain your tweet!
At Globe Bob Ryan on Twitter. He is a fantastic follow, I'm telling you. Bob, explain this one to us. Is any current pro athlete currently more delusional than Carmelo Anthony?
Well, it's simply that Carmelo Anthony, before the season started, already announced, don't ever think about bringing me off the bench. Then he went out on to have a meh year at best. And he is what he is, which is an offensive player who could never be the number one player on a championship team, who was best served coming off the bench, hitting a couple of jump shots, and then sitting him down, let him watch the rest of the game. And he's utterly delusional. He thinks he's going to the Hall of Fame. If he goes to the Hall of Fame, then that voting panel should be stricken of its rights. He's not a Hall of Fame player. He's an offensive scoring stat compiler. That's what he is, and he thinks he's better than that. And I don't know if he is necessarily the most delusional of all pro athletes, but it was the current thing to do at that point in time. What was the sound that you just made in the middle of that analysis?
Any Philly folk remember Zinkoff's tribute night when the Doc presented him with a mink for the zinc?
Yeah, I was there that night, and the great Dave Zinkoff, one of the handful of most legendary PR announcers. Well, he was probably maybe the most legendary PA announcer, along with John F. X. Condon in New York. I was there tonight. They they gave him a mink coat, and it was given to him by Dr. J, and he said, "A mink for the zinc." So I was there that night, and it was fun.
Cut the crapola. Yes, it's hard to compare errors. Bill Russell, by far the best documented North American team sports winner. End of story.
It is the end of story.
Yeah, it is the end of story in terms of documented team sports winner. And he won, starting in 1954, he competed for championships every year at a collegiate or professional level and in the Olympics until 1969. And all those years, nice. He only lost twice. And the championship level twice, 1967 and 1958. And 58 he was hurt. So this is easy. Now I'll give you my favorite number. You talk about stat of the day, Poppy. Here's a stat for you: 21 times in his professional career, starting in his junior year at San Francisco, including all NCAA games, all Olympic medal round games, all NBA best of fives, and all NBA best of sevens. 21 times. Someone's going home tonight. Someone's going home. It's a winner-take-all game. Bill Russell's record in the winner-take-all games, 21-0.
Yes.
I rest my case.
Yes. End of story.
Yes. Got the crapola, Bob. Last one. Very quick here, okay? Heard Chet Baker on 2 different Sirius XM stations within an hour this AM. This is why I make the investment.
That's right. I'm a devoted Sirius XM guy, and among the many reasons I do it are the opportunity to have things. Where else are you going to get that? Where else are you going to hear Chet Baker twice in an hour on 2 different stations? The answer is nowhere. Sirius XM. I'm a devoted person. They should hire me as a spokesperson.
Thank you, Bob. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I want to talk to you again tomorrow.
Bye,
tomorrow. I want to talk to you tomorrow. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bob.
All right, bye.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
You're off tomorrow.
Good luck with that.
Don Le Batard.
Dan has it.
Oh, my God. No, this is a Bomani question. Mavis Staples, go.
Stugotz.
You can't hold papers together without some Mavis Staples. I mean, everyone knows that.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We got to get to the more serious stuff here. How's that Royal Rumble list of action stars, characters who aren't superheroes and can't use weapons coming?
Is that the more serious stuff?
Yes, the Royal Rumble between 32 or 30 or 50 characters. I want to see how this list is coming together. Also, we have to resume playing Family Feud with my father at some point here. We're going to get him through here. Mike, how's this list looking? Do you guys have power rankings or odds on, or do you even have a total list of all these action stars?
We're finally figuring out our full 30. Remember, it's a 30-person battle royal. Those are the rules, unless you're going greatest Royal Rumble rules, which is 50. But I'm under the impression we're playing traditionally. Am I wrong here?
And we've decided here this is hand-to-hand combat, right? There are no weapons?
Hand-to-hand combat, no weapons allowed. Now, it took a lot of fighting, but the Mask, Jafar, and the girl from the ring are out.
Oh, man!
They are out in favor of Furiosa from Mad Max and Ripley from Alien.
Had to be done.
Had to be done.
Ripley from Alien?
Oh, yeah. Impossible to kill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, is there any JCVD in this? Because he's a hard target.
Seems like an unfair competitive advantage if it's impossible to kill, right? I mean,
but impossible to kill doesn't mean impossible to throw out of the ring.
If it's impossible to kill, I'm guessing it's impossible to throw out of the ring. I mean,
how are you going to throw her out of a ring when she survived a crack in a spaceship that pulled out an alien, but she somehow hung on?
She could survive being thrown out of the ring. She can't win the Royal Rumble.
She has a great grip. Remember when she killed the alien, spoiler alert, by pushing it out the window and space sucked it out, she somehow hung on. Resilient.
You think that that's a better, not that we have to replace women with women in this Royal Rumble, but you think that Ridley is better than Charlize Theron's character? Was it Tank Girl in Atomic Blonde?
Ripley and Atomic Blonde. Well, that's the thing. Who do you go with, Charlize Theron? Furiosa or Atomic Blonde?
Who do you go with?
Or do you go with Monster?
Kill Bill?
Wait.
Or the bride from Kill Bill.
Ah, yes.
Oh, man. Yeah, she doesn't need a gun. No.
We're really stuck here.
Yeah.
It's hard to find 30, man. It really is.
It's hard to get it down to 30.
Yeah, it's hard to it's hard to find your 30 that you're rolling with here because so many good ones are being left out. Is Simon Phoenix in this? We don't know.
Oh, my God, he's not.
Is he?
Oh, wait a minute. You can't have Simon Phoenix. Didn't you also have Stallone's cop character in that?
John Spartan.
You had John Spartan. You can't have Simon Phoenix and John Spartan.
No, it's all about the build-up to the face-off.
Guillermo, didn't you have a Stallone that you wanted to nominate? Didn't you want to nominate a Stallone character for the Stallone Royal Rumble between all of the Stallone characters?
The strong one from Ants.
Oh, my God.
No more cartoons, Billy!
Don Le Batard.
They've been around since 1896.
Oh, get out your wallet.
That's why I was getting the money ready.
Stugotz.
I don't think Stugotz should be fined for that.
Great, money back in the pocket.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can check out Rory and Phil Mickelson on the course right now at the Wells Fargo Championship on ESPN+. What happened? Rory. Here's your SportsCenter update. The NHL has suspended Tom Wilson 3 games for an illegal check to the head. The Steelers have placed Ryan Shazier on IR, ending his 2018 season, but They have converted his base salary for the season into a signing bonus, immediately paying him. It's a good job of the Steelers there.
Yeah.
$8.5 million.
Yeah, it is, yes. It's very nice of them, and I guess they didn't have to do that. But here, $8 million. Hope you can walk again. Okay. I mean, okay. No, it's a nice gesture. I'm just saying.
I understand.
It's a nice gesture, but there's nothing that replaces, no amount of money is helping him right now trying to deal with what he's dealing with.
Right, I'm glad you added that part, because initially it sort of sounded like they're just giving him money. They're helping him through this.
They are helping him through, and good for them, and they should, though. That shouldn't be like an inspiring story. It should be like a liability obligation.
Probably give him more, right?
I mean...
They're Stu.
Right. Stugotz will always be there. Yeah, it's nice that you gave him $8 million, but give him more. I'm just saying the whole thing is the Steelers do things the right way. I don't think a lot of people would have any objection to the ways the Steelers run their business. They're a good, loyal, family football organization, and also they preside over a violent empire that leaves guys like Shazier not being able to walk.
They are all the things you just said, but that's the only move there, right? You have to do that. I don't
see how you release him or look, $8 million is a lot of money. This isn't something that needs to be cynical. It's a nice gesture by the Steelers. It's almost literally the bare minimum they can do given the risk involved.
I didn't even know that was allowed, converting someone's guaranteed or base salary into a signing bonus. It seems like a workaround on the salary cap.
Loophole.
I mean, wouldn't you guys be okay with some football having some settlement package for anyone who gets this kind of injured to make sure that their generational wealth doesn't get affected?
Of course.
I think players do have injury settlements with teams. It's just not a very common thing that we hear about.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Tesla shares plummeted after CEO, this guy, Elon Musk, called an analyst a boring bonehead as he answered questions about a record net loss. Shares fell 5% in after-hours trading in the seconds after the electric car company chief dismissed Bernstein analyst Tony Sacconagi's question about capital requirements. Musk said, quote, excuse me, next, boring bonehead questions are not cool, next. He was on a conference call responding to the questions about Tesla's first quarter results, which showed the company made a record $710 million net loss and tore through $745 million in cash in the first quarter of this year. I mean, are you starting to believe me now, Dan? Are you on my side with it? He is he is so arrogant on so many different levels, and he has so much money. What does he do? He just bleeps with people. He does, and he doesn't care that all the people who believe in him and invested in his company, they're all losing their money. He doesn't care. He does not care. He doesn't care about the people.
Excuse me, Stugotz, you're a bonehead. Shut up. Next question.
All right. For you pros out there, next week is OSHA's safety stand down, and we've teamed up with Warner to take a timeout to learn about ladder and fall protection safety. Remember, falls are preventable. Go to WarnerStandDown.com to learn more. That's WarnerStandDown.com to learn more. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. Musk.
We don't really talk politics around here. Some of you confuse race talk with politics talk, but we don't do very much in the way. $2, by the way. We don't do very much in the way of politics talk around here, but Jake Tapper is going to join us at noon. And Stugotz, I'm curious, your computer, you were laughing during the break because this is from politics, but it's not really about politics. What was the back and forth tweeting that you were laughing at during the break?
Marcio. I don't know what just happened there. Marco Rubio.
I would say it's you're generally bad at reading, I would say is what happens there.
I merged the two names. You'll understand why in a second. Marco Rubio tweeted out.
I understand.
Okay. Although written by intern at Politico, this article is a reminder of how difficult it can be to discuss public policy in political press. Not only did I not back down on tax cut, I doubled down and added detail for rational support. Monica Lewinsky replies, blaming the intern is so 1990s. Yeah.
I mean, she earned it.
Yep, no doubt.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Should LeBron James be in this action hero? Should he be allowed in just because he's LeBron James? I just put it on the poll.
He'd win.
Put it in the action hero Royal Rumble. Should he be in the among the 30?
No, he can't be. Kevin Durant was in Thunderstruck. He can be.
Is Patrick Swayze in here?
Roadhouse Patrick Swayze
Roadhouse
is gaining a lot of traction on social media. Maybe we can find a spot for Roadhouse Patrick Swayze. However, this pushes out Bodie Patrick Swayze.
Oh, wow. But hold on. Roadhouse Sam Elliott might also be a guy that we should consider.
You need to pick one from Roadhouse.
I mean, Sam, no. Sam
gotta go
Elliott.
the person that ripped out a trachea.
I understand he's the mentor.
He taught him everything.
But you can't have two Roadhouse characters in a Royal Rumble of 30 action stars throughout history.
Wait, so you're saying I can't have Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid, and have Johnny Lawrence? I can't have both?
What's the movie that's going to have two?
Both Riggs and Murtaugh are
Oh, for the love of God.
Rocky Drago, Rocky Apollo.
I mean, he did this with bleeping Simon Phoenix.
And John Spartan.
Yeah.
No, you can't. We have to have a one limit per movie.
All right, so who do you go? John Spartan or Simon Phoenix? Wow. It's impossible.
No, it's not impossible. Simon Phoenix loses at the end. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert? Jeez, man.
Oh, Dan.
It's not impossible. You got to go with John Spartan. You have to. Do we have rankings yet? Do we have a power?
That's not how a Royal Rumble works.
No, but I want betting odds before the end of the show today. There are two things that I want to get accomplished
Again,
here.
not how a Royal Rumble works.
This is what I'd like to do before 1 p.m. Eastern. They are the only two goals I have in my life before 1 p.m. Eastern. One is to have a power rankings of the top 30 Royal Rumble action characters of all time. The other is to play Family Feud with my father. Nothing else matters.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to talk about this pitcher for the Mariners who wasn't allowed to go for 20 strikeouts last night, James Paxton, we can do that. If you want to talk about did Utah get back in it, we can do that.
Well, they did.
One more time for Ricky to return too.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen before? Darren Ravel tweeted about this. Have you guys seen before the Donovan Mitchell play in that game where a guy follows his own mist at that size and dunks in a way that terrifies you as a rookie? Like Donovan Mitchell, Rick Pitino said needed to come back for an extra year of school, and Donovan Mitchell last night on that play looked like prime Dwayne Wade. It was just ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the Pitino.
Right, Rick Pitino thought he should come back to school, and I thought that he did something last night I don't think I've seen before.
You know, Wade is a good player comp for Mitchell. I do see a lot of Dwayne Wade in that game.
Well, the ability to explode quickly, what startled me about that play and not having seen it before is that Houston is very good at defense. I don't know who was on the floor, but do you know the play I'm talking about where Donovan Mitchell, It's just a floater and there are big people in the lane, and then the next thing you know, he's gotten up faster. The thing, Charles Barkley, this is always interesting to me, this sport physically. Charles Barkley is not very tall. Charles Barkley is about 6'5". When you stand next to Charles Barkley, you don't think to yourself, man, this guy led that league in rebounding every year. How could that be at 6'5"? And it's because his butt is where your neck is. Like his whole butt, the way that he boxes out, if you see Charles walk, the physics of that, physically, how high his butt is, Donovan Mitchell's got something. Russell Westbrook's got something that makes him fast twitch faster than other people. He gets up. Dwayne Wade had this. He gets up 2 and 3 times in the time that other people are coming down. That's what Daryl Morey was telling us yesterday. You know, within 3 years, that doesn't bode well for Andrew Wiggins. You know, within 3 years, you know, on Donovan Mitchell, like if he doesn't get hurt, you know. That dude, you could see it right there. Rick Pitino thought it needed another year of grooming. We can all see for ourselves. No, and he's not even the reason they won last night, although he does control everything when he's in there.
Ingles was the reason they won last night. Hey, well, I can't believe I'm saying that, but in a series that has all these guys, he was incredible.
He made every shot.
He's a really underrated player. I can't really wrap my head around why he's underrated, but he is.
Why is he underrated? Does anyone have any insight? Because I believe this is life's greatest mystery. Second is, why are we here? First is Ingles for Utah. Why do you underestimate him? We tackle that conundrum unsuccessfully next.
Bailo, sell high. Time for some ads.
Australian.
Did you underrate Kyrie Irving?
Australia.
Carlos Boozer.
Ben Simmons.
Mario Chalmers. Women are so much better than men.
Boxed in.
Wasn't Mario Chalmers from Alaska?
That's a fun.
Here's an example. Your wife gave birth to, I think Boozer was from Alaska too. I think I just confused Australia and Alaska. Here's an example. Your wife She gave birth to your children. Get her a bouquet, man. It's almost literally the least you can do. She gave you children. Buy her some flowers, man.
Boozer was from Germany.
Yeah, fine. Again.
I don't think that's right.
Did you get anything right there?
Put it in the internet.
No, look it up.
He's from Germany. No, he is. He is. Is Kyrie from Australia, for real?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
I mean, what am I supposed to do with you two? Just telling me that's not right when I'm looking things up. I mean, how? How do I... You're like an 80-year-old who saw an article on Facebook and swears by it.
I thought that was something that I knew, that Carlos Boozer was from either Alaska or Australia. I thought I didn't have him going
born
to
in Germany.
Okay, I don't. Why am I associating him with Alaska? Somebody help me out, because when
That's Trajan Langdon, another
Trajan Langdon.
Him
the
too.
Alaskan assassin. Anyway, right now, when you get ahead of the Mother's Day rush, 1-800-Flowers is giving you an exclusive 24 for 24 offer. 24 multicolored roses for just $24. That's only $1 per rose. With a bright and beautiful mix of premium roses and a rainbow of colors, these blooms are guaranteed to show Mom just how much she's loved. Multicolored roses are the perfect way to surprise all the moms in your life: wife, aunt, sister, grandma.
Born in Germany, but made Alaska his home.
Oh,
Carlos Boozer.
There you go.
Still not Australia.
Still wrong, man.
Still not Australia.
He's never even been to Australia.
Yeah. Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Dan Le Batard.
Man, you have no journalistic responsibility.
Stugotz.
Yep, and I love it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Jake Tapper going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. If you missed it.
Maybe.
Oh, we don't know?
I mean, Allison is having a bit of a meltdown.
Okay.
Over Jake bleeping Tapper.
She really likes him, too. So when you get excited to have a guest on and you fight to have that guest on, it's just a bummer. Oh, wait. I just. Oh, we have him on the phone.
All right, Tapper's there.
Okay.
You happy about that? If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the show on demand in the ESPN app, plus our Miami-only hour that airs before the show, and now you can subscribe to our Best of Podcasts. It's all available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app.
So he's got a debut novel. He is a facts guy, but this is fiction. The Hellfire Club is available now. Jake Tapper with us on ESPN Radio. Let's start here, and thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. What the hell happened to the network anchor? Like, what happened to the guy you grew up watching, the Dan Rathers, the Cronkites, the Brian Williams, the Brokaws, the Ted Koppels? What the hell happened?
Well, Brokaw and Brian Williams, that's a whole separate issue. But what do you mean? Like, for
the last 10 years, you know, when you do surveys of most trusted newsman, what comes back is like Jon Stewart, comedians, because of what has happened to television news. And so I'm asking you.
I think there are a lot of reasons. Obviously, you know, who Cronkite was at a time when there were only 3 sources of network news. Also, it was a time when there wasn't the criticism of media that we have today and the questioning of media that we have today, which, by the way, I don't think is an unhealthy thing. But I don't think that it's just a completely different era. When I started at ABC News, I'm at CNN now, but when I started at ABC News, it was Charlie Gibson and Diane Sawyer in the morning, Peter Jennings in the evening, and Ted Koppel on Nightline. You know, none of them are anchors anymore. Things just have changed. The network's broadcasts have certainly changed, and if you're a news junkie, a lot of people don't wait until 6:30 at night to watch the news. They have cable on all day.
Change for the better?
In some ways for the better, in some ways not, I suppose. I mean, I think that the idea of there being many voices and the media institutions being challenged is good. But I also think that the erosion of trust in the media is a significant issue. Some of that is self-inflicted wounds. Some of that is, you know, political parties trying to attack to make hay, whether it's the Hillary Clinton campaign attacking the New York Times or President Trump attacking everyone except for Fox News. That part, I think, is absolutely damaging, and the media really needs to do what it can. Reporters need to do what we can to rise to this moment and regain that trust.
Again, Jake Tapper's got a debut novel, The Hellfire Club. It is available now. I don't know how he found the time to do that. Writing is very painful.
Jake, help me out with something. Who has the best parking spot and the nicest office? Anderson Cooper or Wolf Blitzer?
Well, Anderson's in New York and Wolf is in D.C., so I don't even know if Anderson drives because he's in New York City. But having seen his office and Wolf's office, I have to say Anderson has a nicer office.
I imagine that Wolf's office is also messy. Is it messy? I just imagine that it's messy. No, it's not? No?
It's very clean. It's very clean.
I had him as sort of a hoarder.
And he has a nice office. It's just that Anderson has a window. And at the D.C. Bureau, the offices are internal, so we don't have windows. So that's really the main reason I would give Anderson the edge.
I have been told here by informed sources. Let's play this Eli Manning clip real quick, because Eli Manning and the Manning family, they are notorious pranksters. Let's give Jake Tapper a minute to think about the greatest prank that he has ever pulled while listening to Eli Manning talk about the pranks that he pulled.
We've done some good stuff to our strength coach here, Jerry Palmieri. He has a 1990, van that he still drives. And a few years ago, we got his keys to his van, went in there, and we got some little confetti with maybe an inappropriate picture on it. And we just got bottles and bottles of it, and we poured it into his AC vents. Of course, the car is off, but we, turned the car off, pumped it, the AC on, so when he gets in his car, it's just gonna, blow out all this confetti. And of course, he gets in there. It's 90 degrees outside, and that confetti flies all around. And he said even to this day, that was probably 5 years ago, even to this day, every once in a while, a little piece of confetti will flutter out of the AC or see it on the floor. So that was a pretty good one that went over well.
Jake Tapper's greatest ever prank is?
Well, I'm not really a prankster, but when I was in high school, we snuck a fake yearbook ad into our graduation yearbook, our senior year yearbook. It was a full-page ad, and it congratulated the school. And then, if you knew to do this, if you remember Mad Magazine fold-ins?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So if you knew to fold it in, which you wouldn't necessarily know, but if you'd been tipped off, you folded it in. It was a giant male appendage formed, and then it said, "For all the BS, eat this." So that's probably the last.
Tapper, that is well done, Tapper.
Tapper, you are a high school rebel. You are crazy.
Yeah. That was really honestly the last prank I pulled.
All right.
To be honest.
Right. Well, then you became a news anchor and all
right,
that. Right. You can't do that.
Things got serious.
Right.
The Hellfire Club, again, it's his debut novel. Why tackle this one? It sounds very challenging.
I just thought it'd be fun to write a DC thriller. It'd be fun to have fictional characters interacting with real ones like John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon and Joe McCarthy. And there were just some things about Washington, D.C., observations I wanted to make about good people coming to town and having their best intentions eroded by compromise and a corrupt system that I thought it'd be fun and interesting to write about.
Again, you should check it out because debut novels, those are tough, and he's making his way into this world. Jake Tapper with us. Speaking of fictional characters and real characters, a news anchor Royal Rumble.
Oh,
if we take every news anchor over time and throw him or her in a ring and say who's going to win, not the greatest ever, but physically, who's going to win by throwing everyone else out of the ring, who is Jake Tapper's nominee?
Who's the strongest, but it would also be the strongest and also like the meanest, right? It would have to be
meanest and strong, and just your favorite. If we throw throughout history, go ahead and if you want to talk it out and tell us who some of your nominees are, and because we think it's that beefcake Scott Pelley.
Oh yeah.
Well, Pelley is ripped. I mean, that's true.
See, I think he's caving your head in.
Yeah, but just because he's ripped doesn't mean he's a fighter. It doesn't mean
that doesn't mean that. But I've got him being stronger than you, Tapper. I got you tappering out.
I think Pelley would take me. There's no question about that. I think he's also been to many more war zones than I've been. I think he's tough, and he is very shredded. I'm trying to think. I mean, Anderson Oh, you know who's actually very, very strong, and I bet would get mean in a ring would be Chris Cuomo. He's just a powerhouse.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think he could take Pelly. I think he could take Pelly.
Get out of here!
I'd like to see that.
No, he's giant. He's giant.
All right, put it on the poll. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Can Cuomo take out Kelly?
I'd pay for that fight.
I think so. I think not only could he beat him, I think he would lift him over his head and throw him out of the ring. Yeah.
Really?
And I say that saying that Pelly could do that to me. I mean, with all due respect to Scott Pelly.
I understand.
Yeah.
Cuomo's taking you and Pelly out. He's throwing you both out of the ring together.
Oh, me? I'm like a toothpick to him. That's nothing. I'm not really in that contest.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. Good luck with the book.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Don Le Batard. Your face is gibberish, fat face. Stugotz.
I don't respect Twitter. It's Twitter.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz has something for baseball. He wants to change rules again. We will get to that in a second. Check out Ryan Reynolds' Twitter feed if you're excited about Deadpool 2. Those writers, it feels like they've changed the form. I'm no expert on the form, but it just feels like the writing is really smart and funny and self-deprecating, and Ryan Reynolds just sent out. Mike, how do I explain this? Just check out what Ryan Reynolds did on his website or on his Twitter account to tease Deadpool 2.
Yeah, this morning he tweeted out a video, which was a music video off the Deadpool soundtrack, and the single from the Deadpool soundtrack is a legit Celine Dion ballad.
It
is
funny,
just
man.
a straight-up Celine Dion ballad. However, the music video is hilarious because everything about it is fairly straightforward, except for Deadpool being an amazing dancer around this true ballad from Celine Dion.
Yes, it's very funny. But before we get, though, to Stugotz and what he has for baseball, let's just check in with our, I guess, consensus Royal Rumble news anchor division, this Cuomo guy that many of you on this show may not have known if you're not following politics, but may have been introduced to him because of the way that he journalistically really held to the fire LeVar Ball.
He know he got them shoes, and I tell you what, behind closed doors, I think he got them on his feet just dancing.
Are they?
And you know what song he's singing?
What song?
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That is not a real song.
That's what song he's singing.
See, that is how Cuomo. He's going to be great as the wrestling heel, right? As the news anchor wrestling heel, that is not a song. LeVar Ball is just trying to sell shoes and sing on television, man. We don't need your integrity around this, Cuomo.
He know he got them shoes, and I tell you what, behind closed doors, I think he got them on his feet just dancing.
Are they?
And you know what song he's singing?
What song?
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That is not a real song.
That's what song he's singing.
Cuomo.
Yes, that is courtesy of CNN. Stugotz does not want the degrominator batting.
I don't want pitchers batting, period. I don't. Never have, never will. Like, get pitch. You know what? You have a sport, Dan, where there are two leagues and the rules are completely different for both leagues. Where in the AL you have a DH and in the National League you have pitchers who are batting. I pay my pitchers. I don't pay my pitchers. The Wilpons pay their pitchers to pitch, not hit. Jacob deGrom, the Mets have got off to a good start. They're a half game out. They're not playing as well. The staff is a little bit in disarray right now because Matt Harvey is not any good. He's a fake ace, and now he's coming out of the pen, and so we can't afford to lose another guy. And last night we almost lost another guy, Jacob deGrom. Not because he was pitching, because he was batting. And that cannot happen. Jacob deGrom is paid a lot of money to pitch baseballs. Jacob deGrom is a very good pitcher. Dare I say one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Jacob deGrom should not be doing anything else that might potentially put him in harm's way. And that's what Major League Baseball is doing with pitchers right now because he hyperextended his elbow. Not pitching, batting. I don't want pitchers batting anymore. Okay. I'm telling you, it's a terrible job by Major League Baseball. They need to fix it now before someone gets seriously injured. And luckily for deGrom, MRI came back because normally that's a 6-week injury. But deGrom got an MRI this morning, and he's fine. He'll make his next start. So the Mets got lucky with the deGrominator. But you never know, Dan. It could happen. Imagine that happens to Clayton Kershaw. And all of a sudden he gets hurt batting instead of pitching. How outraged Dodger fans would be. Imagine that. Because it's going to happen one day. And baseball needs to change the rule. That's it.
Can Ohtani hit?
He's the only one. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, he's good at hitting.
Arrieta can hit,
and Bartolo Colon. He can hit as well.
All right.
So it's Colon and Ohtani.
In your personal record book, baseball needs to change the rules. Let's just mark it down, everybody. 12:38 Eastern, 52 seconds, 53 seconds. Stugotz has declared it. He has decided that today is the minute that this rule has to change. He has decided today is a good day to make this a sports radio topic of should the leagues have different rules and should the designated hitter be uniform.
In my personal record book, Babe Ruth never hit. He did. He was just a pitcher. You can't be both. You're a hitter or you're a pitcher, and Babe Ruth never hit. He was just a pitcher. It's why he's not in my top 20 baseball players of all time. It's just not. My personal record book. He's not. He's a pitcher. He's certainly not a top 20 pitcher of all time. But imagine, Dan, if hitters pitched. Can you imagine? Like, even Mike Trout. And also Mike Trout's out for the year because he was pitching a baseball.
That happened to Canseco. That's a thing that actually happened. He got injured throwing a knuckleball. Pablo Sandoval, I enjoyed watching him pitch the other day as the third baseman for the Giants. I learned that was a thing. He came in a Rangers game down 15-4 or 15-6 and got a 1-2-3 inning, 3 infield grounders.
How do you get hurt throwing a knuckleball?
I know. Well, because you're Canseco. His finger fell off at a poker game. Remember?
When you're a knucklehead.
I don't know, right? Look, man, Canseco's career needs a 30 for 30. Just the career. I'm talking about a home run bounced off his head. He was the biggest star across sports, not named Michael Jordan. He was stealing, a million bases and hitting the ball 1,000,000 feet, and an entire clinic was being poured into his ear of performance enhancers during every offseason.
So you're saying 30 for 30 just on Canseco, not Bash Brothers, not that A's team.
I would watch a channel devoted to just Jose Canseco.
I'm on it.
I'm not even kidding you. He is insane. There was an insane person running sports for a while there. Dating Madonna. I'm telling you, Canseco goes in my pantheon right up there with Tyson on most interesting people I've ever heard of in sports. Yeah, because he was Gronk before Gronk.
Right. Getting pulled over with a bunch of goats and diapers.
Right. Goats and diapers. Asking people on Twitter to bring a chandelier to his house because he was trying to decorate it.
But you don't agree with me on this?
Sending his brother to a boxing match and his twin brother to fight for him in a boxing match.
He's going to ask for so much money for you to do this.
He can't get enough. Can't get enough.
Imagine if Eli Manning also played middle linebacker.
Are you still over there? You still want to do? I'm with Stugotz.
Thank you.
I'm with Stugotz on the idea of I don't want to watch people be bad at something. That's not why I tune into sports. I don't want to watch DeAndre Jordan shoot free throws, and I don't want to watch John Lester bat.
Right. Who of the quarterbacks, Mike, would be the best middle linebacker? It's a great question. I think Roethlisberger.
Cam Newton.
It's not a great question. It's a terrible one. Just like everything you did this segment.
Bailo.
Thank you.
Tell hi.
Do designated hitter talk.
Dan, I don't like it, man.
Designated hitter talk. So if you eliminate the pitchers, how are you going to get the games to be shorter? When you got more guys
That's not my problem. That's baseball's problem. I already gave them my idea. Just shorten the season.
Okay.
100-game sprint. That's it. The second the NBA Finals are over. Bye. See you. Sprint to the finish. 100 games over the summer, and we're done.
Don Le Batard.
Did you know that Jose Canseco's finger fell off during a poker game?
We did a good show today, man.
68% of the audience said no. That's all we got today.
Is that all?
Our job is done.
Stugotz.
That's a quality program we put together.
Good job, everyone.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We normally update the polls here, but I don't think we have very many of them today. And this day is going to end in disappointment if my father doesn't walk in here in the next 6 minutes to play Family Feud. But he's become more and more of a diva. I'm not even making this up. He will snap at producers. My father, the fame, such that it is, crappy celebrity that it is, has gone to his head. And my father, I've told you before, right? 1:15 when we start taping, 1:15 Eastern, my father declares that he's going upstairs to poop. It's an alpha move. He could do it at any time. He does it right when we were starting.
Billy and I have noticed the same thing with your dad. He used to be like, "Oh, can you read this for us?" "Oh, sure." Now it's like,
My mother was hammering him the other day because he was saying that if he needs to make any appearances from now on, he's just showing up a few minutes beforehand and he's staying for a little bit of time and then he's leaving. My father gives zero bleeps at this point. He's yelling at executives, and it's an old person, and somehow it's charming.
I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
this tree's face would be furious and heavy if I hadn't removed one of the chins from that joke before.
I wasn't talking about you, man. I thought I made that clear.
Where is my father? I want to play Family Feud with him.
He just strolled in and he said,
All right,
what?
Thank you. Finally.
Can I just update 2 of the polls real quick?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, but get your questions ready. You ready, Guillermo? Because we're going to have to do this rapid fire as the diva shows up. As Celine,
running late.
Yeah, you're running late. All right, just grab a seat there.
Mike, I'm going to update 2 polls real quick because I know you guys have been waiting on this, okay?
Poppy, don't curse, okay?
Here we go. At Levitard Show on Twitter. Finders keepers? 88% of the audience said yes. Losers weepers? 90% of the audience said yes.
All right, Poppy, so we've got 4 minutes here. You know how to play Family Feud, right? You're not, you're a funny man, you're a smart man, you've got a master's degree in engineering.
Yeah.
But you're sometimes not a quick man, quick
That's
on your
right.
feet. Do you like Family Feud? Do you like Family Feud?
Harvey is my guy, right?
All right,
He's the one
Steve
who
Harvey's
messed
the
it
guy.
up.
And by the way, we're doing this because the Golics have challenged us to the Family Feud, okay?
Poppy, do you remember the original host of Family Feud? Do you remember his name?
No, I don't remember.
Richard Dawson.
Oh,
Okay.
Richard Dawson.
Yes,
Okay,
you
yeah,
remember him. You liked
yeah,
him.
I like him.
He
yeah.
kissed women on the lips all the time.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so let's go ahead and play the Family Feud. Do you want to go first or second? We're a team here to see how many points we're going to get.
So wait, you have to leave?
I go first.
All right, I've got to leave here, so you got to do it here with him.
Okay, got it. Perfect. Guillermo, do you have questions for Poppy here?
Yep, Poppy. I have 5 questions. You have 20 seconds to answer them. All right.
Okay. And Poppy, if you don't have an answer off the top of your head, you just pass and we'll come back to it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's go.
All right. First question. Name something on a calendar.
A number.
Name something horses do.
They run around.
Name something you do only on sunny days.
Have a drink.
Ah, nice.
Name something you wish you could change about yourself.
A light bulb.
Name a job a handyman does.
Fix a toilet.
All right. Good answers, Poppy. Good answers.
Bring it, Dan.
All right, let's bring it down. You want to go over Poppy's scores here or no?
I'll do it after Dan.
Okay. All right.
How'd you do, Poppy? How'd you do?
You're not going to guess any of them, probably.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, ready to go?
You need 200 points.
All right,
Dan.
let's go. Let's go.
All right. Name something on a calendar.
Month.
Name something horses do.
Nay.
Name something you do only on sunny days.
Sunbathe.
Name something you wish you could change about yourself.
My weight.
Name a job a handyman does.
Let's see here. It's going to take me a few minutes. Fix the toilet.
Ooh, another one. Poppy said
Another one, yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, you guys didn't
Apple doesn't fall far from the
You guys
tree.
didn't give me the beep beep. All right, I don't get that one. Time's up.
All right, let's calculate these. So name something name something on a calendar. Bobby said numbers, and you said months. Bobby, dates and numbers. 35 points for Bobby.
Way to go, Poppy.
Nice.
30 points for you, months. So that's
Whoa,
65.
Poppy, we're powerhouses. 65 after one question.
Name something horses do. You said neigh.
Yeah, that might be too. Yeah, they jump and they run. I shouldn't. Yeah.
Run around.
Neigh for you, 6 points. Bobby said run around.
Yeah, they
Number
do.
one answer,
That's
31
true.
points.
Yeah! Yes! Speed it up, Guillermo.
Name something you do only on sunny days. Bobby said have a drink, and you said sunbathe. Sunbathe's number one answer, 48 points.
Woo!
Have a drink, 0.
Bobby!
Something about you would change about yourself. Bobby said a light bulb, 0 points. You said weight, 36 points. Handyman, plumber, 31 points. And you didn't get anything.
All right, Poppy. Hey, Golix, you've got nothing. Poppy, talk 10 seconds of trash toward the Golix. Tell them we're going to crush them in Family Feud.
Oh, this is just a warm-up, buddy. We're a little bit rusty, but the second time around is going to be epic. We're going to kick your you-know-what.
Yeah!
This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.